Everybody, welcome back. This is going to be part two of my conversation with SpaethCo about US Bank and some comparisons to Bank of America. Now, we didn't go like too deep into the comparisons with Bank of America, but it does kind of show up throughout. The Smartly Rewards program currently is not going to be much of a competitor to to Bank of America's preferred reward system, just because Bank of America's system goes across all of their cards. Smartly Rewards right now only affects the Smartly Rewards card. So when you try to do, you can't really do a direct A to B comparison of the banks because one bank they do it differently right now. Now, there's no word on whether or not this is going to become the case going forward. If you are a Smartly Rewards member and you've got that $100,000 under assets, if you're going to get like a 2% boost across the board, which would make like the Cash Plus a 7% pick your own adventure card, which would be insane, or the Sharper Rewards card. So that is not the case. That has not been stated to be the case. So it's really hard to compare preferred rewards to Smartly Rewards in a direct comparison. But US Bank seems to be on the path to kind of take on preferred rewards one on one. So we'll see what happens. But if you want to check out part one, there's going to be a card floating around above my head. And it's a really nice long conversation about SpaethCo's setup for Smartly, what he did in anticipation of Smartly. And this was just because he was excited about it, and US Bank didn't give any direct guidelines on it. So there's that. Yeah, if you like what I do, hit the like and subscribe button. Check out part one of this interview if you haven't already. Definitely let me know what you think down in the comments down below. And we're going to continue this series with Citibank in the near future. So thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye for now. So now, knowing what we know about Smartly so far, and I think one of the things with Smartly that is still going to be the great unknown is what qualifies to get you into those tiered levels. And there's also like a 3-month rolling average that will update. So even when you get your first statement with Smartly, you're still not sure. You're not going to be too sure what your earning rate is going to be, depending on how you set it up. And we're probably not going to find out for about 4 months. That's 4 months of US Bank being allowed to like loan out that money, or if you're using the brokerage, not necessarily collect brokerage fee. I don't remember the other ways that you can do velocity of lending with brokerage, like margin, yes, but I understand with fractional reserve banking how you can do velocity of money. The brokerage side is a little bit broken to me. So I know it'd be unfair to compare it to preferred rewards right now, but what do you think Smartly will have to do to potentially outdo preferred rewards in the long term if this is a actual shift over and not a let's grow our assets some with a nice, potentially too good to be true card?
So they need to really fill out the ecosystem of what their rewards program is. They have too many things that are named similarly that are completely unrelated. So I know there's been a lot of things thrown out like military veterans and active duty qualify for the Smart Rewards Plus tier. And what Smart Rewards is for the checking account that waives a whole bunch of fees, and you get a couple of different offers on the credit cards, like you get better merchant offers. You can get some ATM fees waived with that plus offer. And normally to qualify, you have to have that $50 to $99,000 with US Bank. And if you're a military member or ex-military member, you qualify into that. And so people have been assuming like, oh, because military members qualify into that, they qualify into the 3% tier with the Smartly card. And that's Smartly bonus earnings categories, or Smartly bonus earnings tiers that happen to have the same dollar range but are otherwise unrelated. Like one does not qualify you into the other one. So I think that's one of those things that's with US Bank is like they need to, for as complicated as Bank of America is ding to be with their premium rewards program, they have the same, like you get the preferred or you get the premium rewards card on the preferred rewards system I think I've already messed it up as I'm describing it, because it's
I probably did as well. So
premium rewards is the card, preferred rewards is the program. You should not have the same names or very similar names to describe two very different things. And US Bank kind of makes that same error here. There's a lot of the things just aren't as good. So like Bank of America, if you meet into their tiers, like you get a discount on home equity lines of credit, you get a discount if you need foreign currency, you get unlimited. Like if you get the Platinum Honors tier, you get unlimited ATM rebates. You get money off mortgage closing costs. You get percentage off auto loans. Like it's a sweeping array of benefits that go along with that. And US Bank kind of tries to do that, but I think like at their $100,000 level, you get four, I think four ATM fees rebated per month. Now, granted, most people probably aren't hitting up the ATM like all that frequently, so 4 per month is probably sufficient. But like, it is weird to say like you're going to keep $100,000 worth of assets, and we're going to give you a whole four rebated ATM fees. Like, thanks, guys. Like they don't really discount much. Like I think the biggest discount you get on the home equity line of credit is like they waive the home equity line of credit annual fee. Like Bank of America actually knocks down the interest rate, whereas all US Bank is like, we'll be nice and we won't charge you $75 or whatever it is. And so there's that. And then right now with US Bank, it's only one card. Like you're all in on this program for one card that, I don't know, at some point we have to discuss the sustainability of it, but like Bank of America has been doing this for almost, I think, over a decade now. I think it was like what, 2014, 2013, something like that. They launched that. So like they've demonstrated for several years, like they've got this dialed in on a program that they can support. And it sort of makes sense. Like, you know, Visa Signature, your average settlement fee is, I want to say somewhere in like the 2.5% range. So Bank of America is willing to like, all right, whatever we get, we're going to bonus it a little bit, and here's your 2.625. That sort of makes sense. Like Bank of America will make up that money elsewhere. And then they also have their offerings like the customized cash rewards where you can get up to 5.25%. Like those are killer cards, especially with a category like online shopping. Like it is, if you read the data points online and what counts for online shopping, it's like basically anything but taxes, lawyer fees, and like insurance, I think, are like, and education. Like the places where people would really love to get 5.25%, it doesn't. But like basically anything else, like anything else that you pay online is 5.25% on those cards, and you can amass a ton of them if you're willing to invest the effort to figure out like all the colleges that technically offer a co-branded card with Bank of America and all that stuff.
Right.
So you can really build out a Bank of America setup. Now it's gonna be a nightmare to manage, I'm sure, by the time you're done. But like, at least it's conceivably possible to do that. Whereas like US Bank, you're going all in on this program with the one card that's, they're somehow going to eat 1.5% of their settlement fees. Like they're collecting 2.5%. They're going to pay you out for. How long are they going to do that? And that's a lot to bank into a program where that is really the defining characteristic of why you would even want to pursue this. And with no bonuses up front outside of the checking account, like it has to be a long-term play. Like you're only going to get in this, like, I'm going to set this all up so that 4% over time, I'm eventually going to get to a point where this is going to be net positive for me. And I do worry that for a lot of folks that I think the program will be nerfed before they actually get to that net positive part. Like they're going to get the 4%, like that's all going to come in, but like what you gave up to get there, you're not going to be able to match that.
So it's a pretty, it's the more you talk about it, the more I think about it, the higher a opportunity cost it's going to be. And, are you willing to accept that opportunity cost? I think there are some folks who are very interested in this card that are going to be more than willing to, in the name of simplicity, depending on how simple it is. And then I think there are some folks who are going to get in, especially some folks we've talked to offline who are going to get in, realize how complicated it is to get this level of simplicity and then just be out.
Yep. That is a very fair assessment. I think, I don't know, we've talked to, like, the biggest downfall of US Bank right now is just how inconsistent the support is. And I think the best example of that is first of all, try calling yourself, and then also go online. Figure out what level of assets actually qualifies you for the exemption of the annual fee on the brokerage account. There's on their site, I think the only clear, like one that I'm quite certain will waive it all is 250K. If you put 250K in there, they'll waive your fees. Like that seems to be the overall, like that will for sure do it. US Bank, if you look at their smart rewards, they say if you keep 50K, they'll waive the IRA fees. Now, how that was described to me when I called is, oh, that's like if you went to the bank and you opened up like a CD in an IRA account, or you opened up a money market account that you were going to qualify as an IRA and treat it like a savings account that was just an IRA, not a brokerage account. On the brokerage side, I've been told one of the people said, like, oh, you just have to keep 25K in a mutual fund on our platform and that'll waive the annual fee, which is a term that's not written anywhere, which is interesting. I'd be curious if that's true. I've seen a couple other people online post on Reddit that they were told the same thing. So maybe. And then I've also heard that at $100,000, they're just going to waive it. But again, it's not a term that's written anywhere. And I think that's like one of those things where you can call 3 times and somehow end up with 4 different answers on what that is.
Oh, great. So talking to US Bank is like talking to an economist. Great. Oh,
there's ample room for opportunity for improvement there.
One of my favorite phrases in the corporate world. Okay, so you have talked about the worry about sustainability with the card. Could kneecapping violently some of their other cards be a method to make that sustainable a little bit longer? Because we've seen a couple of changes in the altitude lineup. Now, we're going to talk about the altitude reserve in a second, but we have seen the altitude connect lose a lot of its luster in terms of it lost its annual fee, which was great, but in terms of earnings, you can now only get 4% on gas on up to $1,000 spent in a quarter. So now $4,000 a year on gas, where previously it was uncapped. We've just seen the altitude go lose out that now you can get 4% on dining up to $2,000 per quarter. So like it's a little bit better, but not much better. They've redefined what places you can get the gas and EV charging cash back, because if you had a Walmart that had a gas station attached to it, you used to get the full 4%. Now you're going to get whatever the base earnings on the card is. You're not going to get any extras there. So are those changes and taking the altitude reserve out of circulation for an indeterminate amount of time, potentially, are those sort of changes indicative of them shifting completely to smartly? Or is this just other belt tightening that has to happen because US Bank also happens to be going through some stuff right now?
Maybe a mix of both. I mean, I'm trying to do the quick math in my head on the Connect and the Go cards. So like one of the interesting thing there, like US Bank is probably better than most other banks. Well, outside of the points earning cards, like every bank, when you run your card, as soon as that transaction posts, they get the settlement fees, right? They have their money. So like, Amex, for as long as you hang on to your membership rewards points, or Chase with your UR points, like they already have the cash. They don't have to pay it out until you find your magic redemption that you're going to use. So they get to do whatever they want to do with those funds to generate more money. US Bank on a cashback setup, how they gate their cards is they complicate the cashback a little bit. It's like the Altitude Go and the Altitude Connect. You can get cash back, but only in exact increments of $25. And so it's interesting that, like at the $1,000 and $2,000 level, right? So $1,000 at 4% is going to give you $40. So you can get one cash out there. And you're going to have a little bit of extra left over that you're going to have to keep
No.
track of. I'm sure they're hoping that it like kicks a couple months down, like, oh yeah, I got to go redeem my cash back, and then okay, I got another, maybe I have $50 at this point, but then there's going to be a chunk left over. I do think that there's probably a play in some of those limits that they can drag out how much of those funds that they can keep, that they can generate a return on. Those returns they do use to pay back into the rewards program. So, I mean, it does kind of make sense in line with supporting the higher interest or the higher rewards rates on Smartly. That if they can, basically leverage the returns on their other cards to pay out those rewards in an effort of growth, like yeah, that makes a bit of sense. I know you said we get to the altitude reserve in a second, but like that's another card that has that just like slightly complicated cash out mechanism where if you want cash, you're still stuck to the same increments of $25 and it's at the 3% rate. So if you earn 3x on mobile wallet, for $1,000 you can cash out 25 of your 30, and then the 5 is stuck until you can find something else.
Right.
Real-time rewards has that $10 minimum, but you need to have enough rewards to cover the entire purchase. So I think the folks of us that are like really happy with the card find a way to charge Ubers or airport transfers, things like that, rental cars. Some of the lower dollar amounts that you can trigger with real-time rewards, so you're always cashing out that balance. I think a lot of people are like, I'm going to save up my rewards for a flight. And it's like, considering you have to have enough rewards to pay for that entire flight, like you might, you're playing right into US Bank. Like you're holding those rewards in that account for a really long period of time. They're not getting more valuable, and US Bank's making money on that. So I think that is those are all strategies to have US Bank hanging on the money so that they can generate the rewards, which I think, as you point out, it's going to take us months to figure out how this plays out. Like until the first statements are generated and we find out like what the actual cash out process is, I don't know what the overall economics of this be. It could be you have to build up $100 of cash back. I don't know. Like they haven't. The kind of crazy thing is they have their benefits site. They have not published this card on their benefits site, which would normally have like a link to like the rules of the program. All we have right now is just that high level, like you need this much in assets to trigger these levels. And it's not that I don't think that they'll pay out, but US Bank always has that little hook, and they don't necessarily define their stuff well. Like the altitude reserve is a perfect example. Like even before it got taken off, like it's still on the discontinued cards list, or their benefit site as a no longer accepting applications card. Shouldn't say discontinued. I'm gonna panic a bunch of people. No longer accepting applications. There is nowhere in the program rules, in the real-time rewards rules, anywhere that says if you use it for travel, you get the 1.5% rate. All that language has been scrubbed for a couple of years now. Like all of us who have the card, like we know it works. We can tell you it works. They allude to it on their, like when their sign-up bonus, it was like get 50,000 points worth $750. But they never like show their work of how you get there anymore. Like all that language is just gone. It's point values will be determined at time of redemption is the language it got replaced with.
That's the actual language?
That is the actual language in the terms.
This is the 3-card Monty dealer of banks.
It is wild that it's again, like it's my favorite card, but like if I were to like try and set like these are the like it's here, it's written down, it works this way. Like no. Like we're all kind of going on faith. Like it still does work this way. But yeah, that part of it, I think a couple of people on the Discord have pointed out, like they don't fully believe what US Bank does. And like, I can't blame them with how they write their terms.
How does this bank exactly?
Right.
Follow the lady. Follow the lady. Follow the lady. Here's the ball. Find the ball. I don't know if I want a reward system that's akin to 3-card Monty.
Right. I mean, like
that is.
If you go and look at like Chase's Ultimate Rewards, like program guide, you look at membership rewards program guide, like they have a whole bunch of language. Like here's how you earn rewards. Here's what they're valued at. Here's how you can redeem it. And like for the Smartly card, there is one sentence that's like footnote number 2 on the cards, like these values are only obtained when redeeming to a U.S. bank deposit account.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Can you expand on that a little bit, please? No.
Not today. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe next week. That is all concerning. That does not give me the warm fuzzies. I'll tell you that much right now. The U.S. Bank was a bank that I thought, like, a year ago, I said was like they could be right on the precipice of greatness if they just did like 2 or 3 things, like let your altitude points pool together. If you let your altitude points pool together, it would be amazing. Now they've added the altitude power to that pool of recipients, but like, or maybe it was always there. I don't remember, because again, this bank is weird. Now I'm just looking at it going, I don't know that this is something I want to invest too much time into.
I mean, yeah, it's a quirky bank for sure. From like some of their like they've had some great programs. Like FlexPerks was a great program for its time. For anybody freaking out, there are still people that have their FlexPerks cards that they got a decade ago. Like U.S. Bank isn't pushing anybody off of those cards. I think the only cards that I know people were pushed off were the World Perks cards, and that's only because Northwest Airlines failed to exist at a certain point. Like once they merged with Delta, they disappeared. The card had to go away. Sorry,
Right.
but like all the rest of their cards, like U.S. Bank doesn't seem to be able to kill a card.
I give Citi a lot of crap for the zombie cards that they have. Like the dividend card should have been killed long ago. The prestige card, I understand the love for it. I understand how good this card was when it launched, how good this card still kind of can be. But Strata Elite is coming. Like, you need to get your prestige people off of prestige and into Strata Elite. Like, kill the card. I'm sorry.
Like if you have the card and you're happy with it, U.S. Bank is happy to have you continue to be happy with it, especially if it's the
Yes.
annual fee cards like that. I think the Flex Perks Reserve is still a $450 card. It's more expensive than I want to say it's more expensive than the Altitude Reserve, and like people still hang on to that card.
I wonder if it had as easy a dining and travel credit to consume into the annual fee. I don't remember that card, so that's fine. Okay, so U.S. Bank is the Zombie King. Fair. U.S. Bank is the 3-card Monty of rewards programs. Odd. But yeah, I understand the thrill and thrall of Smartly, but it does seem that Smartly will not necessarily be long for this world. Or do you see yourself potentially converting to Smartly in the mid or long term if they define this better?
So I think there's going to be a contingent of people who actually will be really happy with Smartly. And I think it's actually going to be nobody watching this video, unfortunately. Think of your target audience as like the people who looked at the Fidelity Rewards Plus setup, where you could take your Fidelity card, and if you kept, I think it was like a couple $1,000,000 in managed assets with Fidelity,
Yeah.
like it got boosted up to like 3-something%.
Yeah.
I think that's the play of the people who are going to be happy with the setup. So if I don't want to manage my own assets, I'm willing to, like, I was happy with like an Edward Jones or a Dean Witter or all of the other 2-name investment shops, Raymond James. Like U.S. Bank can provide that service. You go into the branch, you meet with a wealth advisor, they'll take care of your account for you. Oh, hey, and as long as you're here, here's this card. You invest with us, you can get 4%. I think under that setup, those people will be incredibly happy with the program, because if you're willing to pay asset, like, I don't want to frame this wrong. Not everybody is confident managing their own portfolio, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
No.
So if you want to pay that management fee, like there are shops that will do that. I don't know if U.S. Bank is great or terrible. I suspect they're probably okay. They have enough branches and they have enough business that they're probably decent at it. So if you can get a one card that actually gives you a pretty decent return in exchange for like signing on to their management program, yeah, it would probably work out pretty well for that person. For the vultures like us who are trying to like get every piece of meat off the bone of credit cards that exists, I don't know if we're really gonna be the winning players here. Like the self-directed brokerage sucks. Uh, it's just it's you're gonna find problems with it pretty quickly, or I guess maybe you won't find problems with it, and hopefully nothing goes wrong. Like that's the other thing with the brokerage is the support is 9 to 5 business hours Central Time, Monday through Friday. So like something happens with your account and like you're on the East Coast or anything like that, like good luck. Like you planning on calling after work like that, or actually probably Pacific is even worse. Like if you're going to call after work, like you're not going to get to talk to anybody ever.
No.
And that's not quite the thing you want if you're going to put substantial assets at play. Like you kind of want answers if something happens, like where like 100K disappears out of your account or something like that. Like probably want to be able to get somebody on the phone. So I think the self-directed piece is going to be tricky. And then for everybody else who's watching this, who's already in the credit card space, I do think you can probably put together like maybe you can't optimize every single category. Like there's going to be some
Right.
categories you're going to have to settle for 2% or 2x. But I think on the whole, if you put your entire spending plan together, I think you can probably out earn it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be complicated. Like the U.S. The altitude reserve, like that's a beast of a card. You can throw so much spending through that. Like that alone at 4.5%, like you're already outperforming the Smartly with a good chunk of your spending. Like toss in a couple of free, like a Wells Fargo autograph card, right? Now you knock in 3% at gas, or 3% gas,
Mm-hmm.
streaming, travel, dining, like all that stuff evens out. Like I do think that the informed consumer can probably, without a lot of shenanigans, give Smartly a run for its money.
That's fair. And yeah, I'm putting a good amount of chunk either through a welcome offer card, which is always going to be a guaranteed return. My dining goes through my Sapphire Reserve. If it's not my Sapphire Reserve, it's my autograph. My gas is almost primarily through my autograph. The only way that I'm like not generating even more return is just having my partner put all of her spend either on a Wells Fargo Attune or on the Hilton Honors. But even at the Hilton Honors, you take whatever the multiplier is, divide it in half, and that's your effective cash out percentage, just because of the rate that you can get Hilton Honors points with it. So it's I don't know that I'll beat Smartly, but I know that I'm not also putting in that opportunity cost for me, or having to figure out the brokerage, or living with the wealth management side of things. And not that the wealth management side of things is bad, but I don't necessarily have that money to hand over for them to put my assets under management unless they're making like 40-50% returns for me to start.
Right.
But yeah, so my last question here is just going to be about your favorite card, the Altitude Reserve. Now, US Bank has previously discontinued the Altitude Reserve for applications. That was at the launch of the Altitude Go. They took it down from applications. They eventually brought it back. Do you think they're running the same play here with Smartly to gin up interest in Smartly and bringing back the Altitude Reserve as it stands? Or is there a possibility that they are going to start shifting away from Altitude as a brand and maybe look to bring the card back in another incarnation that is pretty much exactly the same, like the same earnings, the same redemptions, but a different name?
So obviously I don't know.
Yep.
I do know some folks who work for U.S. Bank, but they're all on the technology side, so I can
Mm-hmm.
get like the details of like some of their IT quirks, but not like any useful product information or details like that.
Have you guys heard of CSS? Do you guys know what that is? Can you make it pretty? Just make it
Mainframes
pretty.
still run the world, man. Good old IBM Z series mainframes still run the world, and yeah. I think I don't know. I don't think US Bank is going to go long without having a high annual fee card available for people who want to pay that. It just doesn't.
Mhm.
I don't see why they would do that necessarily. Um, Especially that's why they haven't. I think why they haven't killed off a lot of their other cards, especially the ones with annual fees. Like if people are willing to pay that fee, why would you ever cancel that card? Like anytime you push people around, you're risking that they're going to cancel it. Where that's like just easy money. You're always getting that money in, and the card penciled out that they knew like on average it was gonna like they were gonna make their money on the card. Um, I can see kind of two paths of where this will go. I can see they'll take it off the market for a little bit to drive assets in, have Smartly be the front runner. Like they like as you mentioned, they've done this. They did this before with the Altitude Go. They launched it in the summer. I kind of got the feeling like because it was the pandemic and they launched the Altitude Go, they didn't get the sign up numbers that they wanted. And if you've ever worked in a corporate environment, projects are all driven around metrics, right? So for a card launch, signups is going to be everything. Bonuses are dependent on that, and you can lobby enough people internally that like no, I absolutely need this card to be front and center. My kid's future depends on this. Like college is riding on this. So I can definitely see a scenario where like they're going to pull it off just to have Smartly be the number one card that you go to, just to push the signups for that product. Makes perfect sense. And then I can kind of see it going two ways. Once the enthusiasm for Smartly tapers off and it's back to normal levels, they bring it back like they did before. Or it might actually have enough of a following now to live on like the Ritz card does for Chase. So you apply for a different card, like you get your Shopper Cash card or a Cash Plus or a Altitude Go. You get one of their other cards, and a year later you can product change into the Altitude Reserve. I did see a couple data points people had posted today, and it's the internet, so who knows? But like,
right,
people have said that they were still able today to product change into the Altitude Reserve, which makes me believe that that card will still be available for product changes probably through this whole process. Again, like if you're willing to get into a $400 card that's a Visa Infinite that gives them higher settlement fees, I don't think they necessarily want to discourage you if you're like going to push them that hard on it. But
right.
they definitely want the Smartly signups right now as a new product launch. They want that to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah, and no welcome offer on the Smartly will also help them be able to push up more of those rewards. So like there are ways that they're going to make themselves whole on, well, not necessarily whole, but like there are ways that they're going to make their money on this somehow. Otherwise it's just follow the lady.
I'm just thinking like you don't get a welcome bonus, but you do get a premium metal card, as you pointed out before. Like that's your bonus.
Yeah, the last card that offered me that with no welcome offer and a premium metal card, I hate that card now.
Yes, the X1.
Yeah. No bonus. I need a bonus. Give me a bonus. Which is why I'm waiting for the autograph beyond.
Yeah. So like every other bank is willing to give you like money up front. And I think that's like the one thing that to tie this all back, like don't step over $100 bills to pick up pennies. Like
yeah,
if you're eligible to sign up for a card, like a welcome bonus is going to give you more cash back or more rewards or whatever. Like you're going to do so much better signing up for a card that pays a reasonable bonus than to bank on a high multiplier card that you have to try and earn it back with spend. Like it is, yeah. If you made it to this point in the video and you're not convinced, like do not walk away from the piles of money that banks are trying to throw at you.
Yeah.
Let them fill your pockets with money, and then if like after all of that you still want to pursue smartly, I'm sure it's still going to be there for a while. Like US Bank is going to find a way for this to make money for them. You might not like the product structure, but the card itself I'm sure is going to be around.
With that, SpaethCo, where would folks be able to find you when not sitting with me for lengthy interviews?
I am on the Anthony Venture Discord and the oh man, I want to say Do You Take Cards, but that is RJ's channel, and that is the thing that pops in my head.
The Stack Your Points.
Stack Your Points. Thank you. We're recording this at the end of a very long day. So yes, Stack Your Points Discord, and in the comments of pretty much any YouTube video that's trying to push something that's too good to be true. I'm always that jerk that goes in there like, well, technically, like you might want to consider this. Like I like to say, like I've done dumb things with money, so you don't have to. That's what I'm hoping I can bring to the conversation is like we are all susceptible to marketing, probably myself equally, if not more so than other people. So if I can catch myself in like, wait a minute, this doesn't check out. If I can put a couple things out there and it helps you, like that's what I'm shooting for. Hopefully you can learn from my mistakes, or you can decide like none of this stuff matters to me. I just want to chase that. Great, but at least you've considered it. You go in eyes wide open. You're better off.
Absolutely. Well, SpaethCo, thank you for taking the time, and thank you for your insights, and look forward to seeing you back on the various Discords and comment sections of videos around the YouTube.
Thank you so much.